Coming up next on Headline Humboldt, the Eureka City Council makes some adjustments to its ranked choice voting system and struggles over appropriate ballot language for the so-called Housing for All and Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Also, Simonich from the Vera Institute of Justice joins us to talk about new efforts seeking to turn back the clock on how the state of California looks at and treats substance abuse, homelessness, and petty theft. Coming up now on Headline Humboldt. From the top of Humboldt Hill, this is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Falk. Thanks for joining us. After the 2016 election left us with a president elected by a minority of voters, and after the 2020 election led to the riots and violence that seized the Capitol on January 6th, the time has come to begin entertaining more sensible and inclusive notions on just how we should elect our leaders to power. The Eureka City Council this week, among other things, voted to implement and improve a ranked choice voting system for the city of Eureka, decreasing the likelihood, at least in Eureka, that residents here will ever have to suffer through leadership that the majority of residents don't trust and can't stand. This means that for the upcoming November elections, voters in Eureka will rank council and mayoral candidates in order of preference. The system is designed to better capture the choices and intent of the electorate while potentially reinvigorating people's faith in a democratic system that has seemingly struggled in recent years under the dual stressors of division and dishonesty. The changes made this week clarify areas of the city's ordinance that lacked proper description. More changes can be made in the future as issues arise approaching November's election. It can be scary to change, especially when it involves something as sacred as our democracy. But given the conduct of some political factions in recent years and the dangers inherent in continuing to empower fringe and reactionary elements, the time has certainly come for safeguards. This is what progress looks like. Coming up in a few short moments, I'll be joined by Simonich from the Vera Institute of Justice to talk about a new effort by some to crack down on substance abuse, shoplifting, and homelessness. But first, the news. During the upcoming November 5th elections, voters will consider the ultimate fate of the so-called Housing for All and Downtown Vitality Initiative, a measure backed by businessman Rob Arkley and his allies to stop residential development on city-owned downtown parking lots. At this week's meeting, the City Council merely previewed the proposed language for the upcoming ballot initiative, but even that has proven controversial. Limited to 75 words, city staff tried to be fair to both proponents and supporters of the initiative, but after publishing the agenda for this week's meeting, an attorney for the group behind the measure, Citizens for a Better Eureka, asked that the wording be changed. Staff attempted to compromise, but the council members Leslie Castellano and Katie Moulton felt that the language used by city staff could confuse people and didn't accurately reflect the initiative's purpose or potential impact.
With only 75 words, it is and such a long initiative, it is very complicated to incorporate all of the different pieces. And so, that can never be done in 75 words, I don't think. So we just encourage people to go and read the initiative itself and to ask questions of your representatives if you have questions about the initiative itself. The question is intended to capture, the bulk of the initiative, the spirit of the initiative, and be neutral, be informative, and be neutral. And that's what we've tried to do here.
I guess I feel like it's neutral to the point of misinforming the public about the ballot initiative is my concern, just in terms of, it doesn't talk about the requirement for parking if high-density housing is built, which I feel like is sort of the point of that ballot initiative.
I certainly hear you, but I think that it really would matter whether you were asking a proponent of the initiative or an opponent of the initiative, what the point of the initiative is. And so therein lies the complexity for us as a city to put a ballot question in front of the voters that doesn't insert our feeling about it. And again, I really have tried to do that here, and not just me, but other staff members who know the initiative very well.
The council decided to return to this discussion at its special meeting on Monday, June 24th. In other business, the council also approved its budget for the upcoming fiscal year and, as I said, voted to improve its ranked choice voting initiative set to take effect for November's election. Joining us now in studio is Simonich from the Vera Institute of Justice. She joins us to talk about new efforts seeking to turn back the clock on how the state handles substance abuse, homelessness, and petty theft. Welcome.
Thank you, James. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and I'm glad that we can get some experts talking about this particular issue. I know it's involved. There's a lot of background here. I think perhaps we could start with Prop 47, which itself was supposed to be a fix for some endemic problems. Can you talk a little bit about what that was, where it came from, and how we got to where we are now?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you're having this segment in Humboldt to talk about such important issues like the fentanyl crisis, homelessness, and some of the challenges in the retail market.
Yeah.
It's really important stuff, and we need to make sure that we're doing smart solutions to address these really big problems. But
Absolutely.
Prop 47, about a decade ago, Prop 47 was a ballot initiative that was popularly passed by California voters. And what Prop 47 did was recognize that for some things, like possession of drugs, often done by folks who have substance use disorder, or petty theft, these things are not well served by sending people to prison for a very long time. Mm-hmm. What's a smarter solution is shortening the amount of time somebody goes to prison and investing those cost savings that we have from not spending it on prisons in our communities, and investing that money in things in our communities like substance use disorder treatment, housing for people that we so desperately need, education in K through 12 schools. And so what Prop 47 did was actually invest more than $100 million in local communities every single year in California since it was passed.
Wow. Now, so was I wrong in thinking that that was part of like the prison overpopulation issue as well? Weren't they related in a way?
Yeah, absolutely. So back in 2014, things were actually so bad in California prisons that the United States Supreme Court had to come in and say it's unconstitutionally overcrowded. It was that bad. And there were massive racial disparities in our prisons at the time as well. There are still racial disparities, but it's less racially disparate in our prisons today, thanks to things like Prop 47, which have taken different approaches to dealing with things like substance use disorder and homelessness.
Yeah. Now, so the new initiative to address the old initiative, I guess, you know, I used to work at a newspaper and I was on the editorial board for a while, and we had a stance at the newspaper that for the most part initiatives, you know, were dangerous because you could make changes from a distance that could really impact legislators' ability to, you know, construct budgets and do that sort of thing. And every time we get into a subject of where initiatives and the consequences thereof start to compile, I'm always reminded of that. But in this particular case, it seems like it was a positive initiative that was passed earlier with Prop 47. And so who is behind this new movement to sort of, I guess, make those punishments and their approach more severe again? Is that what the end result is they're looking for?
Yeah, I think that's a really important question to be asking, James. And I'm not surprised that a journalist and someone who worked at a newspaper has that question, is who's behind this, right?
Yeah.
And what we see is that there really are some special interests and big money behind this ballot initiative. Millions of dollars have been poured into this ballot initiative by Walmart and other corporate retailers. The Correctional Guards Union has also put significant money into this ballot initiative. And so what we're seeing is a ballot initiative driven by special interests, big money, who are not on the ground in our communities, seeing what our community members need, seeing the fentanyl crisis on the ground and how we need more treatment and more money for services, more medication-assisted treatment, not less, which is what this ballot initiative would do.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, I know this isn't necessarily your perspective on the issue, but what kind of impact is the fentanyl crisis having on retailers like Walmart? Why are they taking an interest now where for years, you know, it wasn't such a big deal? Is it accelerating, and is that because there are more folks who are suffering from substance use disorder?
Yeah, so what we're seeing in terms of retail theft statewide in California is actually that it's down 8% from pre-pandemic levels. So 2022, which is the year that we have the most recent data available, shoplifting was down 8%. What we are seeing is real challenges in the retail market. And I'll be the first to admit that. Like, I go to stores, I see what's happening in retail stores in California, and things are challenging. And it's very hard to be a retailer, whether you're a corporate retailer or even harder if you're a mom and pop retailer in California in 2024. But it's not because of things like shoplifting, which is down. It's not because of things like fentanyl use, which is better treated through substance use disorder in the community. It's because of bigger picture things like COVID and competition from online marketplaces, which themselves are often selling stolen goods.
Yeah.
So what we need is solutions that zoom out a little bit and say, what if we regulate those online marketplaces a little bit more? What if we go after those corporate interests a little bit more that are reselling stolen goods by regulating them and provide services in our community so that people don't have to steal and people don't have to continually be plagued by opiates and the fentanyl crisis? And that's just not what this ballot proposition does.
Yeah. One of the things that happens with initiatives a lot of the time is that there are second-order consequences that people aren't aware of at the time, and they read the language of the description, which is meant to be, sort of a retail approach or whatever, and we end up dealing with those repercussions later on. From your guys' research, and I know you guys are on this issue, with some serious dedication, what are some of those ancillary consequences that might occur if this new ballot initiative, reversing the old ballot initiative, actually passes?
Two things. One is just less money in our communities. So that $100 million that I mentioned, that's funding what happens in our counties right now, the bare minimum that we have, and we need much more. But that's funding medication-assisted treatment. That's funding housing for people coming out of jail and prison. In Los Angeles County, those programs have been proven to work very, very well. One of our programs that's actually funded by Prop 47 helped reduce rearrests by 17%. And has helped increase employment by people who have conviction records, right? So the one thing that we lose based on our studies and our research is all of these services that we so desperately need and that we know based on the evidence work so well. The other thing that we're going to see if this thing goes forward that we're very, very concerned about is a return to overcrowded prisons and prisons that are really full and disproportionately full of people of color. And so we've recently done some research and data on who in California is arrested for retail theft, so who's getting picked up, and right now going to jail on lower level charges. And it's really disproportionately young people and really disproportionately people of color. Yeah. And so if this goes forward, those young people who, we all know young people in our lives who need support, need services, need the substance use disorder care, and they're not getting it, those young people are going to go to prison instead of jail. And it's going to fill up our prisons, and it's going to fill up our prisons with young people and people of color in particular.
Yeah. I often, when I'm covering issues like this, I like to be upfront and say I'm a recovering addict myself. I was an opiate addict and I got treatment and ended up in recovery, and I've been in recovery for several years now. But so it gives me a sort of a personal awareness of what, that process can be like and how it can sneak up on you, and it can ruin your life and that sort of thing. And as I was going through treatment, I was told repeatedly that there's a new medical model for substance abuse disorder, and that we need to look at it like a disease because it is a disease, and therefore it needs to be treated by doctors and not by prison guards. But at the same time, we have that discussion going on among our medical professionals. We have a political discussion and a public relations discussion that kind of wants to frame it back to where it's a character issue, or we need to punish and imprison people who are either stealing small things in order to get high or are high themselves. And it makes me It's kind of an interesting double vision our society can have, where we're having both discussions at the same time. And I wonder if you have any thoughts about that. I mean, what is the value in realizing it's a medical problem and not a criminal justice problem? And I mean, are we so far away from that still that we're having these kinds of initiatives pop up, or is that more reflective of the motive of the people supporting the initiative?
So appreciate that you shared that, and congratulations on being in recovery for so many years. I have loved ones in my life as well in recovery, and I know it is not easy, and particularly with opiates, it is not easy. So thank you for sharing that personal background.
No problem.
And for that framing. You're right. I think as Californians and as a society writ large, we've come to expect that we do need medical care for substance use disorder. It is an addiction, and it is beyond our control. And I think a lot of us sort of know that at a gut level. We don't need to be told that. We know that because we know people struggling with opiate addiction.
Absolutely.
And we know that they have tried and that it hasn't worked and that they need something. And what I think we're seeing is a mix, indeed, of sort of the special interest behind this ballot initiative that we talked about earlier, and a real problem on the ground, which is there is a fentanyl crisis, and we don't have enough medical treatment for that fentanyl crisis. And we don't have enough good tools. We need more research. We need more doctors. We need more access to medication-assisted treatment. And I think many people are frustrated and are seeing their family members and loved ones in crisis and feel like, well, this isn't working. So let's try this thing we did before that also didn't work. And I understand that at a human level, because I've also felt frustrated by the lack of services and solutions for people struggling with substance use disorder in my life, in my community. But I know from the research and from the education and from speaking to folks like yourself that putting people in prison for years and years also isn't going to solve the problem. And what's really not going to solve the problem is having less funding for the medication-assisted treatment and less funding for the services in our community that we desperately need. So that's really what's so important to know about this ballot initiative is it's not just that it's going to put people in prison for longer, it's going to take away funding for all these things that we need.
Yeah. A lot of folks here in Eureka use our local Walmart. We don't have much in the way of big box stores, but we have a Target and a Walmart. And our Walmart is one of the smallest in the corporation, and there's a lot of history behind that, but part of it is that we fought Walmart years and years ago against coming in, and so our reward for that is getting a really small one. But anyway, it's like a, I don't know how to describe it, it's like a prison itself when you go into Walmart now. There are locks on everything, and you have to ask for personal help in order to look at a watch or to look at almost anything from underwear and deodorant to makeup. And, you know, it's like the security levels have really ramped up over recent years. And your point that we've only seen an 8% or we've seen an 8% decline in that since 2022, makes me wonder why all that effort and noise to fight a problem that seems to be shrinking and sort of addressing itself on its own, at least a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll also start by saying my folks live up in Mendocino County, and I know that there are not enough stores in Humboldt and Mendocino. And I know my folks celebrated when the Taco Bell came in. So it's the first big fast food in Mendocino County. It was very exciting.
Yes.
So I could see how the Walmart coming in is both a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
What I'll say is shoplifting has gone down, as you note. What else has gone down is staffing and treating retail workers well. We've seen more and more reliance on self-checkout lines and fewer staff in places like Walmart and big retail stores who can be around to monitor those self-checkout lines, help people when they need help, and unlock those cabinets that we're all so frustrated by.
Yeah.
And there are solutions out there that California is actually sort of pursuing and considering right now to make sure that stores have adequate staff, to make sure that retail workers are treated well and have the tools that they need to make it a better shopping experience for all of us. And we would say that Californians should look at those solutions and those bills and those policies instead of things like this ballot initiative that's just going to, as you say, take us back in time to a solution, a quote unquote solution of prison that we know didn't work very well.
Yeah, it harkens back to sort of the war on drugs approach from the 80s and 90s, and people try to just say no, and it doesn't really work out for them. What's the polling look like at this point? I mean, I hate to ask the question because it's so, typical, but I'm wondering, does this thing have a shot at passing? And if it does, what can people do to make their point if they oppose it?
Yeah, so what we know is that as of last week, the ballot proposition qualified for the ballot, which means that they have enough signatures to get on the ballot for November. By next week this time, June 27th, that's a window in which the proponents could pull back the ballot proposition, so they could voluntarily decide not to do that.
I didn't know that.
By all accounts, it seems like it's moving forward as far as we know. And so what we can do is educate ourselves by listening to programs like this, looking up educational fact sheets about the research on substance use disorder and what exactly this ballot proposition would do, and talk to our neighbors. And I think it's important to acknowledge, I think as you and I have been doing, that there are real challenges out there. There is a fentanyl crisis. There is homelessness that we're seeing with our own eyes. And there are those locked cabinets in the stores that we're all seeing. And none of us are particularly happy with the way our communities are looking. But this ballot proposition would mean that we have less money to solve those problems and less services in our community and much more money going to things like state prisons. Yeah. And so I think learning what exactly is happening in your community and what you're going to lose access to if this thing goes forward is a really important step to take, and paying attention to what happens after next week.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that this problem is all over California now. We've had more visible homeless in the last few years in Humboldt County than we've had for decades, even though we've always had a problem here. And that's led to an increase in, shoplifting sometimes at the Bayshore Mall, our local shopping center here, and it's led to other issues. And sometimes I worry that with initiatives like this, people take on what they feel is a need for punishment, like to sort of get even for the changes or the inconveniences of whatever their shopping experience may be now, or however their lives have been changed by the presence of the homeless and all of that. But that's not the right way to be spending public resources, and we should look at constructive ways, which you're arguing for, to kind of address these issues that have been ongoing and won't be fixed by any real, simple initiative passed by folks after reading a couple paragraphs. So I think it needs deeper and longer and more, solution-oriented approaches. Now, I'd be remiss, some of my viewers will ask me, well, who is the Vera Institute of Justice? So if you can give us a little information about the group that you work for and why
Sure.
you guys choose issues like this to advocate on.
Yes, absolutely. I will do that. And then I'd also love to comment on the great framing that you provided on the homelessness that we are all seeing and really want to provide a humane response to. So the Vera Institute of Justice, I'm the Associate Director at Vera California, which is a local project of the Vera Institute of Justice. The Vera Institute is a national nonprofit and research institute. It's actually been around since 1961. And since that time, we've been producing research and policy advocacy to make our communities safer and more just. We got our start in New York City, we extended to Louisiana, and we now have this office in California, which opened in Los Angeles down in 2018. And we provide research for sort of policymakers and for the public so that folks can make informed decisions about what solutions really will bring us community safety, justice, and accountability. And racial justice is also a very important value for us at Vera, and making sure that our criminal justice system, which for so long has not been racially just, is providing equity in our communities. So that's a little bit about us and what we do. And as the Associate Director in California, I focus a lot on Los Angeles, but also counties across California. We actually have a tool, a database about every single county in California. And there is a page in it about criminal justice in Humboldt County. And I can share it with you after. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
Sure. So on sort of Californians' frustration with seeing visible homelessness, I hear that and I see it. I live in Los Angeles, very close to downtown.
Yeah.
And I think Californians are also humane people who are smart and who want humane solutions and humane, smart solutions that will really get at what's driving homelessness. Yeah. And I think what's so interesting about this ballot proposition is the proponents are calling it the Homelessness, Drug Use, and Theft Reduction Act. Mm-hmm. There is not a single thing in this ballot proposition that does anything to address homelessness. The ballot proposition increases prison sentences for drug use. It increases prison sentences for low-level theft, petty theft, but it actually doesn't do anything for homelessness in California. And in fact, what it does do is reduce funding in counties like Humboldt, Los Angeles, San Francisco, where we so desperately need funding for housing. It's going to reduce funding for programs that house people. And so the name is an interesting choice. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important for folks who care about homelessness and who want their communities to feel stable and like there is a safety net out there, to know that all this ballot proposition will do for homelessness is mean less funding for your county and your community to address that problem.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're trying to cast a wide net to catch as many resentments as they can gather up to get people to vote. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's is what it seems like. And we live in an age now where misinformation is everywhere, and there are initiatives like this that pop up that have, seductive sounding names and arguments that may appeal to people on a surface level. And you're in the business of sort of providing information for folks on issues that the Vera Institute cares about. Do you have any advice for folks as we approach election season on how to be better informed voters and how to make sure that you're balancing out what the voter guide says with real information that can be found in the ether somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking at the evidence, looking at research, looking at what research institutes like the Vera Institute are putting out there in terms of what has actually been shown by peer-reviewed journals and by peer-reviewed studies to reduce homelessness, to actually address the fentanyl crisis in our country, and to actually make for a better retail experience for shoppers. Voters should look at that research, that independent research created by research institutions like Vera, when they're trying to decide how to vote. And it's important to sort of talk to your neighbors about what you learned, to talk to your community, and to talk to your representatives about what it is that you do want to see to address, the young people who might be struggling with substance use disorder in your life.
Yeah. Is there a website people can go to read more about the Vera Institute and perhaps support it if that's what they want to do, or learn more?
Yes, our website is vera.org. And in there you can find information about the California initiative, which I'm the associate director of. And you can also find information about this ballot proposition.
Now, the last couple of questions. How does the financial battle play out right now? The people you mentioned as supporters of this seem like they have deep pockets. And you guys are, I believe, a nonprofit. There are other nonprofits that presumably will be against this, but sometimes if you just spend enough money, you can get some purchase that way. Is that a risk here? Can they possibly just blow the campaign out of the water with money?
Yeah, it's a really important observation. We are a nonprofit. There are other nonprofits out there that are also very concerned about this policy change and concerned about what California would look like if this ballot proposition goes forward. Mm-hmm. And on the other side, there are some folks with lots of money, Walmart, other corporate retailers, the Correctional Guards Union, and other organizations. And I think we've seen in our elections that money, unfortunately, can and does make a difference. We hope that by coming to talk at presentations like this and by sharing our research and information with Californians, we think that Californians will hopefully listen to that research, and Californians will do what we know they care about, which is helping people who need help, providing those services in our community that will actually address substance use disorder, that will actually address homelessness. And so while it's certainly a challenge when there's a lot of money on one side, I'm also hopeful and optimistic that getting this information out there will be helpful.
Well, thank you very much, Claire. That's all our time for today, but I appreciate your information and everything you shared with us, and have to welcome you back at some point.
Yeah, thank you so much, James. I'd love to come back, and thank you again for sharing your story.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day. Tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., please join us at youtube.com/@neongalactic for a lively and wide-ranging discussion of UAPs and contact with top subject matter experts from all corners of the field. It'll be live on YouTube, and viewers will be able to send us potential questions in real time. If you can't make the live event, please check back at our YouTube page and watch the video and see the discussion. That's it for this evening. Stay tuned and stay informed.